Welcome to the deep dive.
Okay, so we've got this stack of sources you sent over right here.
Yep, got 'em.
And we're going to really dig into them, focusing just on what these pages tell us about recent crypto market happenings.
Exactly. The mission today is to pull out the key bits of info, the important nuggets, and just understand the picture painted by this specific material. Nothing else.
Okay, great. So let's kick things off with, I guess, the biggest headline that jumps out from one source right away. World Network, they apparently secured $135 million in funding.
Mm-hmm.
And CoinMarketCap piece says this funding reportedly gave the WLD token a boost. I mean, $135 million. That's huge. What's the significance there, according to this source? What's it tell us?
Well, yeah, based purely on what that source highlights, getting $135 million is definitely a major event, a significant capital injection.
Yeah. And the article specifically notes it reportedly had a direct positive effect on the WLD token value. So with the context of just this article, it suggests the market saw that huge backing as a really strong sign.
A sign of confidence.
Yeah, validation, belief in the project's future,
Yeah.
From some serious investors. It's more than just the cash, it's the perceived confidence behind it.
Got it. And what's interesting is when you look at the other articles in the stack published around the same time,
Yeah.
they give you a sort of broader snapshot of the market on that day, May 24th, 2025. And it looks pretty mixed.
Oh, it really does. Yeah, this collection highlights a very diverse landscape. You see reports about XRP, one source saying it's eyeing $3.
$3, okay.
Yeah, and hit a critical milestone this week. It's also on a list of top trending cryptos 2025.
Okay.
But then you've got others like Brett and Dogwifhat mentioned as moving up among best cryptos to join for long term.
Right, long-term plays.
And SLO is apparently rallying strong.
Yep.
But then ADA is signaling caution.
Caution, okay. So opposites there.
Exactly. And Toncoin and Stellar, they also pop up in that top trending list alongside XRP.
So you've got these specific bullish targets, like for XRP, some tokens reportedly gaining strong momentum, but then one source explicitly saying, hey, be cautious with 80. What does that kind of mix all happening at the same time, according to these articles? What does that suggest about the market dynamic they're describing?
One piece mentions a significant shift in investor confidence, retail, and institutional.
Ah, yeah, that's the key phrase from the source, isn't it? Significant shift in investor confidence.
Mm-hmm.
This whole the rallies, the caution, the specific targets as it's reported here, it really suggests that, investor confidence isn't just a blanket thing covering the whole market.
Right, not uniform.
No, definitely not. It seems very selective, maybe focused on particular stories or technical signals or, certain types of tokens that these specific articles decided were important on that day. And speaking of where activity seems focused, wow, these sources really zoom in on pre-sales and fundraising.
Oh, yeah?
We saw Unstakes AI pre-sale highlighted, took off with what, $6.8 million raised reportedly?
Mm-hmm, 6.8 million.
Then Web3 AI noted as leading among trending cryptos, nearly $5 million raised.
Mm-hmm.
And they even had like a 777K giveaway during the pre-sale.
Yeah, that's what the source mentions. Trying to generate buzz, presumably.
And then there's Qubetics. This one reportedly raised $17.3 million.
17.3 million, yeah.
And sold over 513 million tokens. One source even goes so far as to suggest it might be the best crypto under $1 heading into Q3 2025.
That's quite a statement.
It is.
But yeah, the sheer amount of ink given to these early stage fundraising rounds in these sources, it's really striking.
Right.
Raising sums like $6.8 million, almost $5 million, $17.3 million during a pre-sale. As reported here, it clearly shows where a big chunk of the market's, let's say, speculative energy and interest was focused, at least according to these articles.
Trying to get in early.
Exactly. It suggests finding that next big thing before it hits the main exchanges is a really prominent theme in the activity they're covering.
Okay, so lots of focus on the new stuff. But the sources also touch on news about more established platforms, the underlying tech.
Mm-hmm.
We see Avalanche mentioned as eyes bullish reversal.
Right.
And Tesos is mobilizing community, apparently hosting a key community call.
Yeah, and if you put those points next to the pre-sale frenzy, it's interesting. The focus on a layer one like Avalanche, known for speed, apparently eyeing a bullish reversal.
Okay.
And Tezos, which really emphasizes community and governance, holding this key community call, it suggests that, yeah, while pre-sales are grabbing headlines, the the foundational layers, the actual blockchains, and the health of their communities. Those are still seen as important indicators by the market participants these articles cover.
So it's not just about chasing the newest token.
Seems not.
Yeah.
It's also about the perceived strength and ongoing development of the core technology itself.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, let's shift to something the sources flag as really significant. Stablecoins.
Ah, yes. Crucial area.
First, Circle, the company behind USDC, is reportedly considering potential acquisition amid market changes. That's noteworthy.
Definitely noteworthy. A major player potentially changing hands.
But maybe even bigger news, according to these sources. Wall Street, America's largest banks, are reportedly collaborating on a stablecoin project.
Yeah, this is framed as quite pivotal in the source material.
How so?
Well, the sources explicitly state that with America's largest banks now reportedly collaborating on a stablecoin project, the DeFi and Layer 1 landscape is undergoing a quiet but substantial transformation.
Wow. Quiet but substantial transformation.
Right. It's not just presented as, oh, the banks are doing a thing. It's framed as a potential game changer. The sources flat out say institutions are just watching.
Meaning they're actively getting involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This reported collaboration, if it's happening as described, suggests a real move towards maybe integrating digital dollars directly within the traditional banking system.
Mm-hmm.
And for the DeFi world, the layer ones that built their own stablecoins like USDC, well, this kind of move by huge banks could signal a really fundamental shift.
Competition or something else.
Could be competition, could be integration, could change the whole operating landscape. A key takeaway from the sources is that it signals a much deeper, more active kind of institutional exploration than just, observing from the sidelines.
Okay. So let's try and tie this all together then. We've got this big funding for World Network, the very mixed altcoin performance, some up, some down, some with big targets, this intense focus on presales, and then this potentially transformative news on stablecoins pointing to serious institutional engagement. What's the overall picture these sources are painting of the market right now?
Well, putting all those pieces together, based only on these diverse headlines and how they're presented, it paints a picture of a crypto market that's incredibly multifaceted, really dynamic.
How so?
On one side, you have these potentially huge structural shifts happening in the background, with traditional finance institutions reportedly exploring foundational assets like stablecoins. That hints at that substantial transformation.
Right, the institutional angle.
But then on the other side, you've got all this energy and, frankly, speculative capital pouring into early-stage projects, judging by the pre-sale activity. And you see very selective bets being placed on specific altcoins, maybe driven by retail interest or specific narratives.
So different things happening at different levels.
Exactly. It suggests a market working on multiple tracks at the same time. You've got different types of players, big institutions, maybe more retail-focused speculators, engaging in very different ways, all within the ecosystem described in these specific articles.
Okay, that was quite the deep dive, pulling just from the sources you gave us. So, quick recap. We hit the significance of World Network's $135 million funding and its reported effect. We looked at that snapshot of altcoins, the mix of rallies, specific targets for XRP, the caution around ADA, others like Brett and Dogwifhat reportedly moving up. We definitely covered the strong activity in presales, unstaked AI, Web3 AI, Qubetics raising significant cash, showing where that speculative interest might be. And we dug into the major signals from the stablecoin world. Circle maybe being acquired, and crucially, that report about America's largest banks collaborating, which the sources call transformative and a sign of active institutional involvement.
Right. And maybe just one final thought, again, based only on what we've discussed from this material.
Yeah.
Here's something for you to chew on.
If these sources suggest that, on one hand, major financial institutions are actively building infrastructure in the stablecoin space, while on the other hand, specific altcoins are making big moves and these pre-sales are reportedly attracting so much capital, what does that coexistence tell us? What does this apparent difference in focus between the institutional players and maybe the more retail or speculative side, as described here, imply about the different forces shaping this particular view of the crypto market?